All right, do we want to talk about Damon and Elena? And their
just a little bit, seeing as how we kind of got carried away. But
okay. Okay, so I wasn't really all that impressed with either of them, to be honest.
I did. I really liked a couple of their scenes. I did not like the blood sharing.
Okay.
I liked the scene outside after she vomited everywhere.
Yeah, that was nice. It wasn't, but it wasn't.
Tree.
Yeah, but it wasn't special.
Cried.
I didn't cry.
I cried.
I
was pathetic.
Because you're a loser.
Because I just really liked the way that she was like, I'm gonna die, I'm dead, and he was like, no, you're not. Just get over it. I'm here. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then
she's like,
he brushed
I
the
should
blood
be
off.
dead.
And kind of rubs her arm and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, this is why I really liked you.
I liked it, but I didn't find any of them to be really standout epic DE scenes. I mean, we've had a lot of them, but none of them in this episode really stood out to me in comparison to some of the other ones.
I think the nice thing about this episode was that
shows their friends.
Yeah, it shows their friends, basically. There wasn't any kind of standout moments, but it was just them being together.
I mean, I liked the blood sharing scene just because I thought it was sexy. It was a very sexy scene, and it was so much more sexier. But it's so much more sexier than the Stefan and Elena scene that was earlier in the episode when Stefan's feeling up and down her arm.
You can touch.
Oh my god!
What was that?
Well, he just made her sick because he slammed her against the tree straight after she'd fed, and then when she threw up, I was like, really? Are you surprised?
Turning her on about talking about her skin and it was the least.
But
sexy.
She wasn't turned on.
It was the least sexy talk.
Well, she was.
No. If you look at her face. Because when he's standing behind her and he's touching up and down her arm and saying, "What does it feel like?"
It's like she's trying.
It looked like she was trying to be turned on rather than actually being turned on, because her eyes are wide open and she's just looking, and then all of a sudden she just turns around and kisses him, like she thinks if I kiss him, then
maybe I'll feel it.
Yeah. Whereas compared to Damon, and all she's doing is sucking blood out of his hand, and her eyelids are fluttering, and she's
eyes rolling back.
Yeah, her eyes are rolling back in her head, and she's falling against him because her legs are going funny. Because but seriously, just from that, it was much sexier for her, I think, than the Stefan and Elena scene earlier on.
One last thing about Damon and Elena.
Yeah.
Like when after she's like thrown up in the bathroom at the funeral. And then she drinks from the blood bag, but tastes rank to her as well. And Damon's wiping the blood off her lips, like cleaning her up. Like I really liked that moment, and it wasn't like a sexual thing, him cleaning up her face.
Yeah,
it was just sweet.
I wasn't all that impressed about the fact that she called him to go and get her a new change of clothes.
I did like that he brought her clothes.
I liked that he did it. But I didn't like that when she's in trouble, when she needs help, the first person she calls is Damon. But
I don't think
that's a reliable one.
I don't think that's actually true, because she tried to call Caroline first, remember? But Caroline been in bed all day having sex with Tyler. So
but that was earlier in the episode.
So we don't know who she might have tried to call first.
It comes across as her using him.
No, it doesn't.
Because I mean, the thing is, because he's turning up with this garment bag over his shoulder for her, and he's basically her boyfriend without all the sex. And I just feel really sorry for him. I'm like, he should at least be getting some.
He's willingly put himself in this position. That's the point. That it's his choice. For it to be like her using him, he would have to feel hard done by. I don't think he does feel hard done by.
Well, not necessarily, though, because the same thing is happening to Bonnie, and Bonnie's still eager to help, but we're all fairly certain that
they're the two people that actually love Elena the most, like, in a pure way.
I did like the bit outside the toilet when they just step out and they look like they're married.
Yeah.
It really did.
It really, yeah, because he's
and
just...
the church bells.
Yeah. He's
foreshadowing.
Off. That was nice. Okay, should we talk about the very best scene ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Alaric!
Oh my god.
I cried so hard. I mean, literally, my kids were standing there next to me while I'm watching the end scene, and I've just burst into tears. My baby was stroking my arm, going, "You okay, Mummy?" I'm going, "No, everything is horrible."
lost it.
I really did. I started crying so hard. Because
it really gave insight to how Damon thinks, too.
Yeah, it really did.
He doesn't grieve.
It's really good acting, to be honest, because it starts off with the lantern scene, and when he's like, "What? No, I'm not going to say goodbye to people. What are you talking about?" And Jeremy holds, lights the lantern and gives it to him because he knows that that he's missing Alaric.
Yeah.
But his face is like, "No, I'm not doing this." And he walks up.
He doesn't want. Damon doesn't want to break down in front of other people because that's like.
That's who Damon is. And I think that lantern scene, apart from it being unbearably cheesy, in my opinion anyway, was the whole idea behind it was that Stefan just wanted to give something to Elena. He didn't actually grieve any of the people he was talking about.
Yeah,
so when
he mentioned Alaric. I could have slit his throat.
I know. That's what I was like. I was like, Alaric hated you, dude. Shut up.
Yeah, he mentioned Alaric, and he looks at Damon, and it's kind of like saying, look, I really know where you're coming from, but he really doesn't. And Damon resented that. And then everyone else said Alaric, and the only person that
really
caused Damon to walk away was Jeremy, when Jeremy lights the lantern and says Alaric, and then he kind of nods towards Damon, and Damon's just like, I am so out of here, I can't deal with this.
But I really think, though, because Damon knows that Jeremy can see dead people, and so I kind of get the feeling that Jeremy could see Alaric.
Yeah.
Standing next to Damon, and that's why he looked at him.
Well, that's now canon in my head.
It's canon in mine, because I think it makes complete sense for Jeremy, because he looked at Damon so intently when he was talking about Alaric. What I found really funny about all of Stefan's people are people that Damon had killed. And I was like, even while you're doing something nice for Elena, you have to get a dig in at your brother. You are some kind of arsehole.
What about his father? He murdered.
Yeah, he didn't bring him up, obviously, because that would be bad against him.
He said something like, my uncle's back, and I was like, this is the first time since the first 5 episodes you've actually mentioned this guy. Are you seriously trying to tell me that you actually cared about him?
Same goes with Lexi, to be honest.
We don't talk about Lexi because me and Lexi have lots of problems.
I have issues with Lexi. I hate her.
I don't like her.
But anyway, then Alaric went to the graveyard, and he was just...
You mean Damon?
Damon, that's what I mean. Well, Alaric went too. Alaric went too. But it was just so sad. But what I loved about it was the way that Damon's talking, and he's basically saying that he's stuck in this town with this girl that he loves but can't have, and he's staying here for Alaric because Alaric would want him to stay.
To look after the kids.
Yeah, to look after the kids.
And then he leaves half a bottle of the alcohol on Alaric's stone. Oh,
it was lovely.
It made me cry because he was like talking to a stone, whatever it was, and he's talking and there's no one there, and it made me think. The first time I saw it was straight away. It made me think of the pilot. When you see Elena just sitting in a graveyard by herself with her diary out in front of her, talking to her parents or whatever it is. And I was like, this is probably a parallel here. First of all, she was really lonely, and now he's really lonely, and he doesn't have anyone to talk to.
Yeah.
It just made me cry. I can't do
it. I loved it because of all the snark that was coming out of Damon's mouth about, well, guess what? We're not Japanese, and all of that. He walks away. But Alaric knew exactly what he was saying.
In that one line.
And his one line, I miss you too, buddy. And I just think, why did they kill him off? This is just
it was such a pointless death, honestly. It was such a beautiful scene. But it was a really pointless death, and I really wish they hadn't gone there. Because
And then, with the bit where Damon was like, all it leaves is a hole, like where the person used to be.
I thought that was awful.
Now someone needs to fill that hole.
Compared to the oratory that Stefan gave while lighting his lantern. It was just it gave so much more of an impact the way Damon talked about it compared to Stefan. Stefan was like giving a speech. This is how we should be feeling. We should all be feeling some grief. Let's say goodbye to our grief because we've been numb for ages. And it's like, you might have been numb, mate, but no one else is. This is why Elena said she's been crying forever.
This scene kind of shows exactly how much of an influence Alaric has been in Damon's life.
Exactly.
To the point when he's gone, Damon has a hole in his life that he just cannot fill, and it gets to the point where he has to go to a graveyard and sit by himself and talk to his best friend who's not even there anymore.
Yeah. And I think you can tell that he's probably done it before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and also,
really
but it's the same for Alaric, because of all these people that he left behind. He stays with Damon. He goes to the graveyard with Damon. He doesn't stand there with the others and watch them light lanterns and stay with Elena and Jeremy. He goes with Damon.
And
I think partly it's because he knows that Damon is so very, very alone compared to the kids.
They also got each other.
But I think it's also because he says it. I miss you too.
I think it's also the fact that Damon is not ready to say goodbye, because the whole lantern scene was about mourning your lost ones.
Exactly.
The point was, at the beginning of the episode, he wouldn't let anyone sit on Alaric's stool because he just cannot let go. He kind of says, you know what, you owe me big, I should be gone. And I was thinking, what is he talking about? Is he talking about leaving town? Is he talking about dying and actually being with Alaric with him?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't understand, but it was so sad.
The people that are not such big fans of Alaric, I think you just have to bear in mind that a lot of their friendship didn't take place on screen, but it was really there. In the end of last season, when they refer to like some of the jokey things that like Damon's confided in Alaric,
exactly.
Like, that's just like the point is that they did talk. I can't talk. I'm gonna cry.
But that was the point. They did talk. I mean, and we got glimpses of that, but they were never the focus of the show. And even if you take away the Slash potential of the relationship, their friendship.
I'm trying not to talk about that.
Well, you have to, because it's such a big thing. It is for me.
I think like even if you're not talking about Slash or whatever, the point of that scene was that they really did love each other.
Yeah, exactly.
However way you want to take it, they really did. And whereas with Stefan and Damon, there's this kind of rift between them, where Stefan is kind of like, I'm lighting this lantern for you, but I'm going to remind you at the same time that, you know, in a lot of ways, you've dug your own hole. But when he goes to the graveyard and stuff, Alaric sees right through all of the snark and the sarcasm and the jokes, and it's just like, I miss you, and I know you miss me, and it's so sad.
Exactly, because that scene showed that Alaric knew Damon better than Stefan ever could.
And I think that's true of a lot of like relationships. A lot of like on TV and stuff, they don't like to admit that brothers and sisters and siblings and stuff are not that close. A lot of the time.
Born from the same parents, it doesn't mean that you are like
you have
close
to be close.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not everyone can be Sam and Dean.
This is being brought to you by TV Turtles. I can see probably something.
This has been a Vampire Diaries podcast brought to you by the TV Turtles. I hope you had fun listening. Leave us a comment. And check out our blog in the link below.
And Tumblr.
And Tumblr. And Twitter.
What's on Twitter? We're all on